Soy Stephanie Brennan, logopeda y profesora de inglés. I've been working with the students, the undergraduate students, on the speech and language therapy degree course this semester. And I've recorded a piece on developmental language disorder. I suppose it's important to note that a child, if they have a developmental language disorder, it affects all languages that they speak. And while there has been some research into children who are acquiring an additional language in a naturalistic setting, there hasn't been an awful lot of research into children who are acquiring an additional language in, I suppose, a classroom setting. Hello, my name is Stephanie Brennan, and I qualified as a speech and language therapist 27 years ago. As a therapist, I've worked in clinics, in a child and adolescent mental health centre, as a researcher, and I also spent 13 years working with a teacher in a classroom, a primary school classroom with 7 children who had significant speech and language difficulties. So today I'm going to focus on DLD, which is Developmental Language Disorder, o TDL, TEL en español. DLD is a term used since 2016. It had previously been referred to as SLI, Specific Language Impairment. DLD can be defined as a difficulty with language, and children have a difficulty acquiring their own language for no obvious reason. So children can have difficulty understanding what people say to them and struggle to articulate their ideas and feelings. Approximately 2 children in every class of 30 will have developmental language disorder. DLD is a lifelong disorder, but it changes over time and progress can be made. It's not usually given as a diagnosis before a child is 3 years of age. One of the most reliable early signs of DLD is difficulty in comprehending language. Children with DLD can also have a limited verb repertoire and use all-purpose verbs. For example, doing the food, doing the letter. They can also have difficulty with tense marking and morphological structures. They tend to omit auxiliary verbs and function words, and they have many pronoun errors. For example, a child might say, who, her, what, him, name. DLD can co-occur with motor difficulties, speech difficulties, ADHD and dyslexia, but neither one causes the other. Children with DLD can have difficulty remembering or finding words that they've already learnt. So they have the vocabulary, but they just have difficulty accessing the words when put on the spot. DLD can have an impact on reading and learning to read, and children with DLD can need up to 3 times more exposure to new words than typically developing children in order to comprehend and produce them. This could be because they can also have memory difficulties, but the link between developmental language disorder and memory difficulties is not clear yet. There are some fantastic websites. One of them is called DLD, and there you will see lots of videos from children, from parents, from teenagers and from adults who have DLD. And also there are some experts on there, particularly Dorothy Bishop. There's also an American site called DLD and Me, and you will also find some videos and information there. On the DLD site, there are lots of resources and fact sheets on DLD, both in English but also in lots of other different languages, and so they're there in Spanish and Catalan as well. So when thinking about what kind of training teachers need to think about when they are working with children with DLD, I suppose the first thing is to be aware of DLD. Be aware that it changes over time, and children and adults and adolescents will need different kinds of help as they move through their life. It's important to work closely with the child or adolescent and their family and their speech and language therapist to make goals. And it's really important to ask the children what helps them, because most of the time they'll know what helps them in the class. It's also important to be aware that DLD can affect maths, literacy, peer relationships and emotions. There are many things that you can do in the classroom to help a child with DLD. So for example, if you're giving an instruction, to call the child's name first. Break up long instructions and don't give them all at the same time. Write the instructions on the board or on a PowerPoint projection. Check that the child has understood, as you would do with concept checking in language teaching. Don't use ambiguous language. Use lots of visuals. These help children predict what will happen, what order they're expected to do tasks in. Spoken language is fleeting, and so visuals are a great help to children to be able to check back what they're supposed to do. Give a child extra time to answer your questions. Also, you can give children scripts to help them ask for help. Can I have some help, please? Can you say it again, please? I need more time.